YouTube. Okay, so went to my sort of like walk-in doctor's appointment, and I did end up seeing the midwife, which I typically don't see, but you know, she saw me today because my doctor is in surgeries. Come to find out, she did, you know, a quick little like swab of the inside of my vagina. And again, this is going to be TMI, so if you're not into TMI stuff, you might want to stop the video now. Evidently, I have bacterial vaginosis, which is a type of bacterial infection of the vagina. And the interesting thing is, evidently, I've had this before, and I guess before it's just kind of gone away on its own. And when I've had it in the past, the same exact symptoms as I'm having now, I just assumed it was some sort of side effect or like irritation after I had taken medication or antibiotics. And evidently, the problem is, some women, after they've taken antibiotics, can develop it. So I was thinking it was a side effect from that medication. Well, it is, but it's the medication, taking the antibiotics, is what's causing it, is pretty much what she said. So from what I gathered, when I had a UTI a couple weeks ago and they gave me an antibiotic, evidently taking the antibiotic killed all the good bacteria and left the bad bacteria. So now that's why I have an infection again. I also discovered I have another bladder infection, so I was like, yay. And I also, my blood pressure was kind of high. It was 177 over like 97, 98 or something like that today, which, you know, they didn't say a whole lot about that, but you can tell, you know, they're not too happy about it. But nonetheless, she gave me a 10-day prescription for something called, I think, clindamycin. And then she also gave me a 7-day prescription for something that's similar to Monistat, but it's a prescription med. So she told me, go ahead and start the clindamycin first, and then on like the 4th day of the clindamycin, then start the Monistat type medication. She said that way, you know, they'll work at the same time when it becomes a problem. Because essentially she was saying the clindamycin will help get rid of the bacterial infection and the bladder type infection. She said the problem is it will probably cause a yeast infection. And so I was like, oh, just great, you know, something else to make everything down there irritated and red and sore and, you know, whatnot. So that's why she prescribed the Monistat type medication. So at least, you know, she knew enough that, hey, this, giving you this to cure this is going to cause this. So at least, you know, she was nice enough to go ahead and prescribe them both at the same time, so I don't have to come back, even though I'll be there anyhow again in a week for my next OB appointment. And then, you know, I go like every 2 weeks anyhow, so it's not like a big deal. I'll be there anyhow, but at least it'll be something I can treat at the house that I won't have as many issues with. So I was pleased with that, definitely pleased with that she was able to tell me right away what was wrong, and it wasn't just like, oh, you know, you're fine, just a little irritation, you know, because I knew it had to be a little more than just a little irritation, but I wasn't sure, because like I said in the past, every time I've taken a medication, it's caused this issue afterwards. So, you know, it looks like I'm back to taking the folic acid again, so I'll start that back up this evening, definitely. And that was kind of it for the appointment. I did go over to the place to try to get my fitting for my maternity lumbar belt. The place I went, they evidently, the one day that I could go, the person who was supposed to take my measurements wasn't there. So I ended up calling a different one that was right around the same place in town, and they were able to see me. I got in, but the amazing thing was they don't even measure you. They ask you what dress size you wear, they order it, and then when it comes back, they custom fit it to your body size. So evidently they measure and customize it when it comes back in, because they have to order it. So he was explaining to me that what they do is on the inside of it, it has, I guess, some metal pieces that they heat up and they shape it to your body, and then, you know, they kind of go from there. So I was like, okay, so, you know, it's going to take them a couple days to order it. So I figured, well, next week when I have my next OB appointment, I'm already off that afternoon. So hopefully by then they'll have the brace with a belt in so I can go and pick it up while I'm already on that side of town, sort of near the doctor's office. So that should work out okay. You know, so that was pretty much, you know, what happened this morning. The whole thing with the belt, finally going, you know, to try to get that ordered, and the doctor's visit. But other than that, you know, not a whole lot's going on. My back is acting up today. It got started a little while ago, and I don't know if it's because of the weather here. You know, it's starting to get cold now, especially in the mornings. It's very cold and damp and wet outside, and I have on long sleeves, but of course that's not enough to keep your back, you know, muscles and or bones warm if you're having an issue there. So, I'm pretty sure this, like today, is just my arthritis acting up. I don't necessarily think this is the whole pregnancy related. I mean, and it could be, and I just don't know, but I think this is more of the back problem kicking in that I occasionally have issues with. So, not real sure. Hopefully it'll kind of dissipate as it warms up today. But I'm on my way to my appointment at Duke, which is my endocrinologist for my diabetes. So I'm going to talk to them today. They don't know yet, that I am pregnant again. Last time I saw them, I wasn't pregnant yet, because typically I go see them every 3 months. But when I'm pregnant, they usually have me come in once a month. And last go round that I was there, they last year when I was pregnant, they had me come see the nutritionist, the dietitian, there we go, every time I came, along with coming to see them. My thing is, I don't have anything against the dietitian, really I don't. I understand her job is to make sure that I'm eating healthy, eating properly, so that the diabetes doesn't get worse. But unfortunately, I'm one of those people, I have a really hard time following a diet. So when you hand me a bunch of literature and little booklets and pamphlets that say only eat the stuff that's here in this column, that is really hard for me, because I love food a lot. And I love food that I can't bring home from the grocery store. I'm a very big Chinese food person, Japanese food person, Thai food person. I can't cook that stuff at the house. And so for me, that stuff is not on my list. Therefore, I have a really hard time sticking to the list. Now, fruits and vegetables and cheeses and, that kind of stuff, yogurt, that stuff is easy. But all the extra stuff, you want me to eat a little piece of chicken and some broccoli and, a salad, that is not real food. That is not going to fill me up. So, it's one of those things. So I did not bother to tell them ahead of time that I was pregnant, because I had a feeling if I did, they were going to try to force me to see the dietitian today. And I really am just not in the mood, if that makes sense. Now, granted, for all I know, when I get there today, they could decide, guess what, we're going to let you go see her. But I think the appointment will be too late in the evening for me to do that, because I think they'll close before I can finish with the first one, let alone see the second one. See the dietitian after the doctor. But we'll see. Probably what they'll do is they'll schedule my next appointment for next month, and then they'll go ahead and put the dietitian appointment attached to that one. And if they do, I'll go and I'll talk to her so she can tell me that, I'm not supposed to eat this stuff again. And, and the problem is, because the books I read at home that talk about when you're pregnant with twins, they give you some guidelines. So I've kind of already read that stuff of what you should and shouldn't be eating. I've already read that you need to gain more weight. I've already read that, you need to have more protein and that type of thing. So I have been trying to stick with that. Really, I have. And we'll see. I mean, I don't mind going to see her once. Sure, I'll go see her next time I come up there. But I don't want to see her every visit. And part of me is because I'm cheap. My thing is, every time I go see her for an hour, it's like $150. And while I do have insurance, I still got to pay the copay or part of the copay. I mean, so I just don't want to have to do all that if I don't have to every single time. So, because ultimately, you're going to tell me what I can and can't eat the first time I see you. And then after that, all you're going to do is ask me, am I following it? And I'm going to have to tell you no. And then that's kind of a waste of a visit, because now I've wasted your time, and you're going to feel like I've wasted your time because I'm not following your directions. And you're wasting my time and money because I'm having to come tell you that I'm not following your directions. And I mean, and you might say, well, don't you want to do what's best for the babies? I do, and I try. I take my prenatal vitamins, I take the other vitamins they got me on, I take the extra stuff they got me on. I mean, I'm on 13 pills a day, okay? 13 different pills a day they have me on. And that doesn't even include my diabetes medicine, because they pulled me off of that. So, and I don't know what they're going to do about that. They may have to put me back on something later in the pregnancy. I'm not sure, because unfortunately the last pregnancy did not progress enough to get towards the end where I would need to be put back on something. So I really don't know what happens there. Which is a whole nother realm that we'll get to. But I mean, ultimately, I don't eat a lot of cookies. I don't eat a lot of candy. I don't eat a lot of cake. I try to eat healthy. but I just don't follow exactly what they tell me to a T. Like whether, you know, like don't ever eat any rice, don't eat any potatoes, don't have any pasta. Okay, look here. I need to be able to get full. I'm sorry. So I'm going to eat at least some of that in order to get full. You know, now, do I eat it every day, all day? No. Do I have several helpings? No. Like even when me and my husband went to the buffet at the Chinese restaurant, I had a very small amount of rice one time, and then the rest of my plate was all meat and vegetables. When I went back to the buffet the second time, it was all meat and vegetables. And I had two little bowls of soup, and that was it. I mean, so it's not like I go and I pig out, and it's not like I'm constantly scarfing in pasta, because I'm not, you know. But yes, there are times where I'm going to eat bread, I'm going to eat pasta, I'm going to eat rice. That's just, I'm sorry, I have to have something with some substance. Now, when they find a way to make it where meat and vegetables will fill me up, I'll give up the other stuff. But until then, I'm going to eat it. You know, I'm sorry, I just am. But that was pretty much it. Sorry, this sort of went into a vent, but you know, I am headed up to the Duke appointment, and I may update that appointment after I get done. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.